what I want to have here is how to create a Google credentials for your own private project. There are many times when using the regular authentication might not work. In that case, I strongly recommend bringing your own credentials for your pieces. So let's start with creating a new flow here, and I will start from scratch so we can see how this works. And the flow I want to do here is, let's use Google Drive, which is one that would be a trigger for our flow. Pretty much when something happens into Google Drive, do something else. So I'm going to select Google Drive, and if I go over here, I'm selecting my trigger, and right there, let's say new file. So when a new file created, want to do stuff, credentials. I have one I have done the regular connection with, where you, it asks for your credential, you click and it goes through. I want to create a new connection here. So here, Google Drive, let's say my API. And what I want us to do is not click connect, but don't do this. We want to select, I would like to use my own credentials. And I'm going to go over there, and it's asking us for a few things: the name of the connection, Google Drive, let's call this my API. And what we have immediately there is it's asking us for the client ID and the client secret. So we are going to go create those. One thing I wanted to save somewhere as we go about this is this redirect URL. We are going to need that later. So I would go ahead to Google. The website we are going to go is consoledevelopers.google.com. I will go ahead and click on this. If you don't already, you will need a Gmail account to use this. So create a Gmail account and you log in. You will comment something like this. The first thing we want to do, just up here, we want to go ahead and create. You might have a few projects. If you already have those, in my case, let's start with a new project. I'm going to go ahead, select new project. It's going to ask me what's the name of this project. Let's give it a name. In this case, I will say Activepieces connection. Okay, leave everything as is, and I'm going to go ahead, and immediately I do that, it creates this. One thing you want to be sure is you want to give it a bit of time. In this case, see right here, it says this is created. If you have other project, it most likely will not be selected here. So be careful of that. We want to select that project so that that project is the currently active project. That's the first thing. We create the project in our Google Cloud console. The next thing is enable APIs and services. And when I go to API and services, this is where we actually create that connection. And here I will type drive, and we should hopefully, I should see I type drive there. What we need is the Google Drive API. So we are enabling the API. First, we created the project that, hey, we want to create a project that will be creating things inside of. Now we want to enable the API. I'm going to click on the Google Drive API, and I click on enable. And this should take a few minutes. Wow, depending on how fast your connection is. And immediately the API shows up. I should have this enabled. And notice when I enable the Google Drive API, it's asking me to use this API. You need credentials. That in fact what we need to create now. So I'm going to go ahead and create the credentials, and we go ahead. It's asking us the API I want to use is this. I'm going to select user data, click next. You often don't have to worry too much about many of this, but, and I'll just say W Activepieces, give it your own name, Activepieces, user email. It's going to ask you to select the email, most likely going to be the email you registered with. We'll leave all this as is, and they want you to always enter the connection here, or actually the contact, and I would only do the ones that is in fact required. We can kind of leave some of this. In this case, I would test if that works as we expect. I'm going to do save and continue. Application type, we want to have this as a web app, and web client, just give it AC for now, authorized origin, and this. You will remember I asked us to save this address. So we are going to copy this address, this redirect URL. I'm going to copy that address there. And in the authorized redirect URL, I'll come here and paste Activepieces. This bit is important. We want to copy what you have from Activepieces, drop it over here. And origin, I'm generally just going to put that there as well. So the origin, I'm saying Cloud Activepieces. When I save it here, I also have to click this button. So I'm going to click that button and click add URL. So I'm going to delete this. I don't need to. And we have this. So the URL authorized JavaScript origins, cloud.activepieces.com. If you are using the self-hosted version, of course, that would be your self-hosted URL. I'm using the cloud version. And here, the same. Cloud.activepieces/redirect. Create. So we have that going, and at this point you should see the credentials. I'm actually going to go ahead and say done. I don't have to copy this because it shows up in other places as well, and I'll show you where to get that very soon. And once this is done, we are good to go. And the place to find our credentials is now in credentials. I'm going to go ahead to credentials, and right there I have it, the AC, the OAuth client ID. There's a client ID. I want to see the client and secret. So I am going to go ahead, and here is the client ID, and I also have the secret. All I have to now do is copy this, paste my ID, and copy this, and drop my secret. And I will click connect. This way we'll test if it actually works, and it's going to ask you to choose your account. So if you see this, all is good to go. So you should see AW Activepieces, and ideally I should have my connection ready to go. Last thing I do is hit save, and we are good.